Celestials of Light. Thank you to the Assemblies of Light. We're going to start off today. We're going to get going. We're going to just get going. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Today is January 5th, I want to say. 5th, maybe? January 5th. And Monday, I think. January 5th, Monday. And we're moving in our new energy. We're so excited with our new energy. We're going to be talking about just things to look for and really exciting things we're going to be creating from our new earth spaces and our new earth energies. We're really excited. So we want to keep the energy for new earth. Momentum going. And we're going to take a deep breath. What we want to do is every session, we want to make sure that we're grounding in all of our energies. We want to make sure that our pillars of light, I want to get as many people that so desire practice with grounding their energies, understanding their energies. And as we do so, you get to practice this at home in your private spaces and know what I sense and what I feel for energy, how I go about my life as guiding and directing those will be these practices that we do every day. It is important to clear your fields at least twice a day. If you're around a lot of people and if you're around a lot of social engagements, it is good that you clear your fields throughout the day. We'll get a bit of protocol out and done yet. So we've given the date. This is the Assemblies of Light. I think it's Assemblies of Light number 4. Today we're going to be talking about just grounding in some new Earth star energies that we want to start empowering and inspiring. And hopefully today's show will be an activation for those of you that so desire to be a part of new systems co-creations, new systems explorations. We're going to be jetting off in a whole bunch of different directions of these beautiful 5D perspectives on the most important part will be healing for us to understand all that we've been through, to understand where we're going in new directions, to understand who we have been at a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, sexual, psychological level. And we need to really amplify and level up our psychology. We need to level amp our psychiatry. And so the realm of all of these ologies are going to be leveling up for the co-creation and for what's really needed. I'm going to really need to pull on those that have been in psychology for a very long time and different mental illness counselings for a long time. They've kept up their studies, but they really want to magnify and transition their career into 5D, because there is a difference on how you're moving about your life in a vocation of 3D and what you know to be about church and state and the schools and the doctrine, and how you're going to transition into 5D. So we really need people in the collective to share the voice of ascension, to share the voice of enlightenment. What that means? It means you're choosing by your own inner peace. And as Spirit said, how important is your soul's evolution? For the cycle of all that you are, in this ascension cycle, we're asking that everybody in the collective just go within. Source Father, the Father Creator, and your teams are going to be activating each and every one of you as for your soul's divine blueprint on what your excitements are and how do you want to start directing your energy into the newer star grids and grid system. And so we're going to need people that will step up in all of our social galactic arenas of study and really take them to a 5D perspective. And I'm willing to set up a lot of training courses for those that are willing to take their specific job, career, vocation, whatever their business is, and move it into a 5D. That's what I do. I coach the coaches, I train the trainers, and then really setting up higher vibrational, multi-dimensional ways that you can move your business into expansive arenas. That's what we really want to focus on right now. So we really want to focus on allowing everybody within the collective to know that we're continually moving forward. There's new solar flares and there's new light being bathed upon us every day, and we're so thankful and grateful for that, because it helps us clear out all those densities and the black magic fog that's been sitting over our planet for thousands of years. But what we want to do is, because of the arenas that we're going to be going into, our first matter of importance is ensuring that the people and the beings that have been doing black magic and the mental psychosis that's been occurring, those that get swayed because of vulnerability, because of weak mental illnesses, because of a weak family structure, weak everything that we've had in our social structures. The biggest thing we need to focus on right now is transitioning 3D into 5D with psychology, psychiatry, and all of these experiences. And this is why Source is going to be working with each and every one of you, if you are in these fields of study, to know that Source is going to be working with you specifically. But if you want to book a session with me, this is what I did when I started. I had no idea that what I was doing with Source and how I was moving about my path, because nobody was teaching me. I didn't have anybody coaching me at that time. I was basically just coming into these really important visions, and I was having really a lot of bad dreams. And I wanted to understand the bad dreams. I wanted to be a good parent. I wanted to be a good role model. I wanted to be there for my kids, but I couldn't because I was so distracted from all these bad dreams I was having. And sometimes your bad dreams are just a part of your awakening, so that energy from the subconscious can come up and be faced in a kind of a quasi-physical way. You're not really there. They're doing dreams. They can kind of be detached from you in a bit. And it just allows you to process some of that really deep traumatic energy. And because someone that has been born so sensitive to energies and entities, I've walked with entities all my life, it's a way to process some of those confusing energies that in a linear perspective, in your linear reality, none of these things are ever talked about, but it's just a way that the subconscious pulls things up for you to heal. And why dream journaling is so important to your becoming. Dream journaling is very important to your understanding the lower subconscious aspects of you. So I really implore all of it. I think I've wrote about it in my first book. Really do your dream journaling, because it helps you put together this 24/7 synchronicity life that you have with Source Creator, and really connecting the dots of your own life. And this is what Source helps you do. This is what your teams help you do. But we really want to talk to everybody in the collective, whatever profession and whatever experience you want to really move into. We're going to be moving into such a beautiful arena that we can span out into any direction and array multidimensionally based on whatever arena of joy, really the passion in your heart really gets excited about. There's so many things I love talking about Source and teaching about Source, because as a conduit, I just want everybody to share about how much love Source is, and how profound Source is to move everybody along in their highest and their best. I mean, I started out in this path. I was in banking for 13 years. I was in government for 8 or 9 years. I was in professional and private practice, public practice, private sector. I've been in every type of job you can imagine. In retail sales, it was really cutthroat, all of those things. And I did really well in sales. I could sell pretty much anything. I have that way of connecting with the person. I never did sales that was inauthentic. I was always in sales because I could always connect with the soul of the person, and whatever it is they wanted, I would sell it to them, because I would always connect with their energy, and it was always a very honest and integrous selling. And why I loved being a stylist. Being a stylist was connecting with that inner version of who they were and bringing it out through clothes and through different aspects of fashion and style. I really loved fashion and styling. So I'm going to be doing more of that in the new year. But what we wanted to say is that think about all the things you want to bring forward to be in this new earth. Because it's up to you, as Source says. Nobody's going to be dragged along. There's going to be people that won't go on this ride because they just haven't done enough clearing, and they've chosen for their soul not to go on the ride. So trust how Source is moving people in and out of your life. Trust how the unfoldings of these timelines being pulled and these different energies that are being pulled. Everybody's been given enough time in the collective to make right. Everybody's been given enough time in the collective to be responsible big boys and girls and pull up their big boys and girl pants and do what is right. But what we really need to focus on is inspiring and activating as many as possible to know that whatever career it is you're in and you really want to stay a part of, like psychology and philosophy and things like that, that we can move these things into a 5D arena, because I really see us doing a lot more studies and research and analysis on the things that have really gone awry in our collective with regards to control and domination, and the brain, how the brain has been so damaged in the cults and covens and the dark magic. These need to be researched and analysis. We are talking to Interpol and the FBI and CIA. We need to come together and have those that are willing to transition what they know right now into a 5D perspective. And so I'm going to be working with, and I'm going to be heading up some of those councils and some of those groups of reflection and expertise, because we really want to have them as an expert group for the North American continent, and we will be the first of its kind. We will be getting a lot of help from the Celestial and Galactic Councils that will be assisting each and every one of you that choose to be a part of this group. And this group will entail from the very beginning of, the psyche experience, and that can be from its first birthplace of being both light and shadow. And then when it goes through its cycle of darkness and shadow, what happens in the shadow cycles? We have to understand that at a psychological, philosophical, celestial, multidimensional, your physical body, and because it all connects as a multidimensional perspective. And we're gonna have to level up all of our what we've known to be true, and come up with some new teachings and some new studies. And then from there, there's going to be lots of scribing and lots of analysis and research done, and then it will be put into ways of textbooks and crystalline templates so that we can teach other generations. This is going to be the first generation where there's been so much hybrid species. Everybody's awakened at their different hybridized states. This will be very profound because we're going to come up with a lot of analysis and good research with how church and state that has been so staunch in dogma and doctrine, and how it has done for the movement forward and for the process of evolution. How much damage has it done? How can we move fast? How can we move past it? How is the healing taking place? And what is working in healing, what's not working in healing? And it has to be done. Healing will be our biggest focus in from here on out, because we're really at a beautiful place that we've been through so much, and now how can we build the bridge to really clear up our karma and really reclaim our sovereignty and reclaim who we are as divine sacred beings in all aspects of intelligence, and bring to the board, because there's going to be many more phases of ascension for 8 billion people that are going to be going through ascension for the next 15 years. And how are these people going to be going through it? And now that we've seen a cycle of really rough, dark stuff, how do we start creating analysis and research? How do we start creating those that are going to be in, jail, that have been in these processes, that have done the crimes? How many of them can go through the testing process and help us with the research on that part of it? And then we're going to need new classes and new education that will be taught from, again, this expert specialist group that will be trained in particular by me and myself and others, that Lord Sananda is the teacher of all masters. Lord Sananda is my head teacher, he and Kuthumi, Lord Kuthumi, as well as Jesus. Lord Sananda teaches all the masters. So he is the teacher of the teachers. He is the teacher of the highest intelligent realms. So he's going to be assisting us a lot, as well as the galactic federations that will be supporting us in what we need galactic, celestial-wise. But you have to go home and you have to choose for yourself over the next little while. How do I want to be a part of New Earth? Where is my excitement? Do I want to be a part of the healing? Do I want to be a part of this new awakening into the brain? Because why I'm saying this is, if I can prepare you now, this might get you a bit excited, because those of us that are very keen on working with the brain, I love working with the brain, and I have to do some channels on the brain. But there's only one of me, right? So those of you that are into psychology and psychiatry and stuff like that, we want to start harmonizing all that we're doing, because we can't leave anything out. Being multidimensional means that you have the capacity to know all of it, but you're going to specialize in certain areas. And my special area was what happens to the brain when light is connected with it. When you're starting the light process, when we're starting the alchemization process, what does that do to the brain? And how do we know, and when do we know that we're getting enhancements? And how does that affect how we see reality, perspective? Because everything about ascension and everything about your cognizant, your expansive, the inhale and the exhale, and the expansiveness of who you are within creation is cognization. And that means your perspective. So that's really going to be a huge part of our studies, because even in philosophy, your philosophical perspective right now is not what it's going to be in a month from now, after you go through a dark night of the soul. And you actually look at that dark night of the soul in the dodecahedron 100 different ways. This is why I say, when you do the daily path work, it's going to benefit you in every way, because you can go into any arena and any array of expertise on how light is affecting the human body going through ascension. There's lots of councils on the light ships of the federations that are studying this now. Lots of the celestial councils, lots of the insectoid councils. They're studying the effects of light, and how is light moving through the body when humanity does nothing at all. How is healing going if you are absolutely a commander of your ascension process, and you're including light, and you're the alliance with light, which is what I teach, to be one step ahead, to be the commander of light, to be the commander of how you're processing and you're moving on your ascension path, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, sexually, financially. All of these things are your commandment now. There's nobody you have to wait for. So I can assist you with the appointments and to do that. But we want to put this blanket statement out to the collective, because we are New Earth Star. The grids are going to be anchored very soon in some very, very special galactic celestial coming togethers. And those will only be announced at the last second, just because of the array of contentiousness that has been going on with those that have been in control in past, refusing to let go, and they're going to go out like little children with tantrums, refusing to let go of power. They were told 2 years ago to let go of, but the timeline is up and the deadlines are up. There's no more windows, there's no more opportunities for those that have been in power and are refusing to stand down to the Divine Father's plan. So there will be some very keen pulling out, and it's up to none of the light workers to have any fear about any of it. That's the Father's. The Father is doing all that right now. It's the Father's fight right now. And so just let the Father pull all the timelines out. What your focus is right now as a light worker, as a light keeper, to move forward into New Earth, is just set just daily intentions and daily prayers. I align with my highest New Earth Star timeline. I align with my highest New Earth Star career vocation. Just keep intending that new energy and that new momentum, because there's going to be pulling and tearing, and there's going to be movement, and there's going to be some people in your family that aren't ready for ascension. They've done absolutely no work at all. So we really want to give this blanket statement out to everybody. There's going to be some shifting and some moving. So the more malleable that you can be, the more surrendering you can be, and detach of your attachments, and just trust Source Creator, trust God. Trust God. And this is why church and state are going to have a lot to look at, because there's so many people that say they believe in God and they're so righteous and everything. But when it comes down to trusting God in things that you cannot know and you do not know, like ascension and where's this new timeline going, because this is all new for you, there's very few that have trust in God. And this is why my story is going to be so pivotal, because I didn't have anything that all these people have. And yet my faith in God is 100 billion bajillion. It doesn't matter about the stuff. It matters about who I am as spirit and soul. And so I can come forward and I can offer you what's going on in the collective. I do have a role of leadership, of guide, and of healer. I've been obviously still being taught by Lord Sananda, and we're going to be helped in all of these ways to start creating these beautiful new systems of interplay of higher intelligence, and light intelligence will be at the foundation of it all. Because psychology is not psychology unless you're looking at the whole soul self. This soul fragment is creating a beautiful interaction with other psychosis energies and psychiatric energies that this soul, the one soul, has had, the one person, but they keep experiencing it in different ways because this one fragment here was so very damaging. And it keeps allowing that record to skip, but it's having effects on this, and this. So this is where we're kind of at the 8 ball, being that if you're not doing your daily ascension, if you're not doing your healing, it's going to put a lot of these psyche fragments behind the 8 ball, where you're dealing with 2 or 3 or 4 at once. And you don't really want that, because a dark night of the soul is, life is tough here already, right? Let alone we're going through the most important, profound shifts of our lives. Our bodies are taking on more light than it's ever done before, so it's under more stress as it is. People are being shown from the collective of a linear state, a very dogmatic state, a very 3D box store belief, and then they're opening up into a multidimensional belief. There's going to be huge and profound changes that have never been done before. So we're being watched from all over the multiverse. Just know that. We're the study group of many, many great galaxies, and many great beings, and many great watchers of many great collectives, and many great star systems, and many great temples of light in the celestial realms, and many great federations and councils of light. But we are a part of that. And we're going to do our very best to step up and level up and know that our word is our bond with the federations. And we're going to bring humanity into this 5D gates. And we're going to really learn about what we did and why we chose to give our power away to structures that didn't have our better interest at heart. For structures that didn't really see or know God or care to know God about multidimensionality of all that is. If Source Creator is all that is, why wouldn't we want to know all that is that Source Creator? Why would we only want to know Source Creator as one version that's been sold to us as a version of a man God? Why can't we know all of Source Creator? And why have it been so bigoted, and why can't we get out of that? So again, the less you stay arguing about old ways, because it's not going to do you any good to argue about what's changing. Going on forward, you can release a lot of fear by just saying, I'm only responsible for me and my vibration. That's all you're responsible for, is you and your vibration. You cannot force your family to go with you. You cannot force your loved ones to go with you, because you have no idea what's on their soul template. You have no idea what they're going to activate it with. You have no idea what they're not going to want to be activated with. And it's not up to you to be there pulling along. They have to get there on their own. It's free will and right use of free will and non-interference. You're not meant to be that part of that forcing that God awakening. They have to come to this new multidimensional God all on their own. God has been taught in certain ways, and we've seen the fallacies, and we've seen the falseness, we've seen the fakeness, we've seen corrupt churches, we've seen we've seen everything corrupt that's gone on, and because that's not truly source, and these people have not been aligned in source. Because there is a light system, and if you're aligned in your light system, these things wouldn't happen. So that's what we're teaching. There is a higher way of order. There's a higher way of being. There's a higher way of energy. There's a higher way of being human. And it's up to everybody to get there in their own time. You have to sit there and you have to say, do I want to be higher human? What am I holding back on? How do I want to move about? Where do I want to put my new energy? Where do I want to put my new focus? Everything from here on out is your focus. Where you focus on, that's where your energy is going to go into intention and creation of your reality. So you want to be very intentional about your energy and where you're driving it and who's taking of it. We want to go back to the family because there's many important things I learned about my ascension. Most of the people that come with you in the process of ascension, and especially with your family, many of them and much of them are karmic relationships. Because that's where you learn the most from the karmic relationships. You learn the most that they did this to you last time, you agreed to do this to them this time. You know, they played the power player last player, now you're the power player this time. You play off those roles, especially those that are in family. And so it's very important for you to keep your boundaries with family, specifically with those that like to have power over you, those that like to drive you and direct you, those that like to say, oh, we only want it for your greater good, but they really don't know anything about what's really going on with inside of you. And for you to really let go of everything on the outside that you've held counsel to, because they're going through their own process of awakening and they're not connected with God as you are. It is really vital at this time because there's going to be so many shifting in and out. And this is the divine plan being harmonized and brought to the collective's focus for a very profound way for all of humanity to see that God is God, God's going to play God, and these are the divine plans. And they can't really do that if you're still allowing those that might not have your best interest at heart, those that don't really know, they're doing their best, but they don't really know. They're not spiritually aligned. And to be spiritually aligned, we've talked about from the very beginning, just have your discernment with those that say they're vibrational healers, those that say they're teachers of the spiritual guide, all these things. You got to ask questions. Are they aligned with their higher self every day? If they're not practicing and speaking and living from their higher self, if they do not do their vocations and their prayers and their mantras with their higher self, if they do not do your everyday interaction with spirit, your meditation with spirit, your clearing and cleansing your space with spirit, if they don't do this with the higher self every day, and if they don't do it with their guides of the heavens and the Holy Christ consciousness and all of that, then they're working with other deities that are lower. These are the highest alignments so that you are always aligned with your highest soul's blueprint, which means eternal life. God will always be guiding you. You will always be guided. You'll have the protection of the federations, and that is the family of our evolution of oneness, of light. It is the University of Oneness. Now, that means that we're still all one, but there will be those that don't want to believe in that oneness factor because they want to believe in what they want to believe in. They're not awakened. They're confused. They've maybe at a soul level never chosen to go on awakening. It is still as valid with Source in that way that they are still equally loved and accepted just as somebody that is going on ascension. It's very important we get this because it's not up to anybody to play advocate for anyone. Unless you know that you have to because they're being abused, obviously, then you step in, yes. But for those of us in the collective and for those, those of us that are in leadership role now, we've been doing this and this has been our life for over 20 years or more, plus all the other timelines that we've been doing this. So this is why God is pulling certain of us out and God will lift certain of us. The first will be last and last will be first. The meek shall inherit the earth. What's happening right now is the vibrational shifting of the meek shall inherit the earth. This is exactly what is happening. This is Judgment Day, and God is showing every person Judgment Day of the elites and of the systems and of those that have been in charge. God is showing every day that judgment is in place. And right now, it is absolutely the hand of God that is absolutely moving and shifting karma for every single person. This is God's way of dealing with it all. Because God has had to come in, put God's hand in, because people were not playing well in the playground. People were not abiding by those 3 simple words, do unto others. And it was a huge ego maniac, misogynistic, selfish, greedy ass mess. It's a mess. So God is now hands in, and God is now separating and shuffling. We are at the point right now where we are, the meek shall inherit the earth, which is what's happening. It's a slow transition of energy where those of us that are spiritual teachers, healers, and guides, we've done this in many timelines, we've done this in many realms, and God, of course, is also bringing up others that are younger in the roles, and they're now coming into new, because God's plan is God's plan. It's always eternal, it's always living. What it's going to look like in 20 years, we don't know. But we now, our focus right now is to transition 3D into 5D. So this is where my focus is and my specialty is that we can come out with the greatest amount of a celebration and greatest amount of joy, greatest amount of love for Source creators, that we can learn about Source in so many ways and see all of these beautiful fractals in front of us that are just versions of us, but godly. But we do want to give you a few just a few concerns that you need to keep aware of at this very important point of shifting out and sifting out. These are actual truths. These are actual things that are happening. And again, it doesn't matter to me whether you believe it or not. That's up to you and your teams or your guides or not. There are going to be many that will, again, not go along for this ride of ascension. And every cycle of ascension, there's going to be those at the very top of the wheel of ascension where they've kept their vibration very high. Everything is about vibration. There's various levels. You might see 8 billion people on the planet, but they're at all various levels of consciousness. There's some of us at the very top here that are pulling the collective along, and we're building bridges and we're building portals and pathways. We're showing you all the way. We're showing you all the way, but it's up to everybody at every stage. What part of the way do you want to be a part of? Or do you want to be a part of it at all? Free will is always honored, and you can always step off and you can always go about your own way, and you and God can sort out what you need to sort out when the waves start happening. The point of this experience is to shake the soul awake so that you can redetermine yourself. Who am I now in these new universal energies, in these planetary energies? What do I want to know of myself? Who am I of myself within creation? And what's really, truly inside of me? I've been feeling some things that have been, showing me these different experiences. I've been coming up to this word all the time and that word all the time. I think I'm being driven in this area. These are all ways that your soul awakens you to guide you into greater energetic focus so that you awaken into new arenas of what your soul really is here to do. Your soul's blueprint is what I talk about all the time. And these are the things that are stirring from your DNA, are stirring from all of the lifetimes you've ever lived. And as you awaken, you start to think about things in new ways, and your perspective is so very key to how you see your reality. And this is why all of our sciences are going to change. So we need those in the collective field that have been doing what they've been doing for a really long time. They know that they're ready to awaken. They know that they're ready to come up on board and really to go within and start doing your path work on a daily basis and start doing it on a conscious, just intend yourself to do this in a way that you and Source Creator are creating something new right now. Have that intention that from this point out, it's going to be your new vocational correction and your connection with Source right now to develop a new soul. And in this way, Source then starts designing, getting new guides for you, getting new people and connections for you. As you're doing your daily path work, you're getting up in the morning. Please put a protection around the space, please, Holy Spirit. Please protect my chakras. Right, you're getting up in the morning, you got your journal, and you're doing your daily path work. So you're writing these things down. This is the dodecahedron path work that I talk about. Because for you to step up into 5D, you have to see things from a multidimensional perspective. If you teach philosophy, if you write about philosophy, you're going to have to be stepping up and leveling up to a multidimensional perspective. The soul is multidimensional. The soul is made up infinite number of aspects. You're here to clear 51%. You're here to clear 51%, Source will do the rest. As you come into 51%, you then start harmonizing as a soul-infused being, where all of you is whole. That's why you come across these triggers. You come across these less thans and greater thans. Because in other timelines, you were playing these roles for each other, especially family. We want to go back to the family. When you're going through ascension, it's very important that the more and more that you do your path work, and the more you understand what's going on in creation as a whole. These energetic shifts are very real. It might not be tangible in the physical yet, but it's happening and everybody feels it. There's things going on underneath our feet and inside the soul of who we are. If you're not aligning with your higher self every day and connecting with your higher self to guide you in everything, for instance, if you've just met somebody and you're on this beautiful path of getting connected because you want a deeper soul relationship and you really want to explore love because you've done the healing of your past relationships, you've come off a lot of really horrible experiences where people have taken advantage of you, and you get the point now and why you've had to go through those. is that there's going to be people on your path, depending on what your role is going to be and how God will have you in the role for these very important times and shifts. And of course, your lineages and your ancestry, all of those play a factor into those that are going to come against you and those that are going to try and sway you and those that are going to be here and support you. What we've grown up with in family are going to be, usually you have one person that is a very positive role model and is a very positive soul partner. Most of the other contacts within our family are a lot of karmic relationships, which means that they're only here for you to show how you're going to help each other through karmic times. And you're supposed to be the benefactor for you and show them the way of how to heal, but they don't have to. But when it comes to getting guidance and advice from those that are in the community that are at a very lower vibration, they're not connected and they don't do work with their higher selves daily, it's very concerning if you go to any of these people that you ask them for advice when they're not doing daily soul growth work, they're not aligned with Source Creator in the grander aspects of Source, and they don't know your soul's blueprint. And at this point of the game, the only thing that really matters more than anything at all about relationships and direction of choices should be those that are fully tapped in and that absolutely know ascension inside and out, like the channelers like myself, Lee, and Daniel, that you can get appointments with us to get those finer tuned consciousness energies. And God himself, God, Mother, Father, God, and your higher self. Because at this point in the game, there's a lot that God has held back from a lot of people, because you might be in a position that you cannot be touched and we want to keep you safe, like my role. There's been no protection on my role whatsoever. God was hoping that it would be a little bit better, but it wasn't. I've been very disappointed in this role on this timeline. But this is why there has to be certain shifts. You have to trust what you're feeling within yourself about those before you. You have to trust your experience. If they've already shown you that they've cheated and they've lied and they've done all of these things, if they've proven that they've done all these things to you in the past, why do you have to keep letting them prove you another 10 or 12 times? This is when you set boundaries. Because part of your ascension pathwork and your growth is to show yourself and to show your higher self that, no, I'm not going to be cheated out of my path anymore. I'm not going to be cheated out of being happy. I'm not going to be cheated out of being healthy and wealthy and loving myself. I get to be this version of me for me. Because most of you that are held back into family situations, you're basically a battery point for everybody that's not doing the work. Unless you're doing the work and you're showing them this is how you're doing the work and you're setting boundaries, but don't go to them for advice. Because they haven't been doing the work, they're not opened and awakened, they're not getting the advice from Source Creator. They can be somewhat of a guidance, and you can ask them in, like a little coffee break and stuff. But certainly, at this point in the game, please don't go to friends and family for advice at this point in the game. Because God is aligning your soulmate ordained beings that are directly related to the entire multiverse and galaxy. They're kind of important. And you don't want to be going to people that are not doing the work, that don't care to do the work, that don't know anything about spirituality, that don't know anything about soul contracts or missions or anything like that with a greater connection to all that is. You want people that are going to care about all that is. If your path is for evolution and your path is to take humanity into different directions, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in higher education of our life force, our sexual life force, there's going to be all of these arenas open up. And you want to go to people that are going to be already there, tapped in. Please don't go to people about your soulmates. Don't go to love readings. These are the biggest waste of time. You should be getting your love information only from your higher self. That's it. Only your love information from your higher self. Because nobody on this planet knows your soul's blueprint, and God's going to keep a lot hidden back from you. Because it's meant to be a surprise as it unfolds. God wants as many people entangling with you. God wants you to trust God, to say, we're going to have some fun this summer. This summer is all about you going on all of these excursions, on you going on all these events, and God's going to place all of these beautiful beings and people and energies and entities just for you to play with and have fun because you've been so stressed out. This is what God will do, but do you trust it? Or are you going to go ask your brothers, sisters, cousin, second cousin, uncles removed and ask them to see what do they think about, going on a vacation with your girlfriend? So really keep your stuff private, because all that you'll get a lot more refined, right? It's only you and God, especially when it comes to soulmates. I've talked about this many times. The only one that really knows who is going to be with you and what's the best bet for you is God. And God will place 3 or 4 options or opportunities Because God also knows how many of those soulmates have had equal, similar timelines in different dimensions, in different experiences, because God knows your outcome of where you're going to advance. This is all about your soul's blueprint. How are you advancing? Some of you might be leaders in parts of the country. So you're going to need someone that's going to be there on those bases of equal opportunity of intelligence and passion about conservation, passion about ambassadorialship, passion about peace and prosperity, passion about all these higher vibrational ways that you're going to need a partner with. These Spirit told me a long time ago, I needed to look at soul relationships very differently because I was very romantic, and that's why none of my relationships worked out. I was just a lost romantic. Spirit told me very early on, the soul relationships and the soul partnerships and the soulmates that are going to be coming on, and even your twin flames, these are about celestial and galactic universal partnerships for evolution. It's like a business. You're developing a business together. And that business is very loving and caring, but that business must know, am I grounded in myself? Am I my own person in myself? I'm not going to be lacking. I'm not going to be codependent. I'm going to be fully foundational in myself. Now, what do you have that I can offer you? And what do you have that you can offer me? And these are the coming together and the marriages. And these are going to be these soulmates that Spirit's going to bring together, that the collective is going to look at and say, well, how could that ever work? How could that? No, because we're redefining what love really is. We're redefining, building bridges on the things that used to be contentious and opposites and contentious and, didn't seem to match, but we have to, because it's been so polarized, it's been so demoralized, it's been so discriminative. We have to build these bridges into higher and more operative ways of harmonious ways of working together. But we have to do so, and there's going to be those of us that will play those stories. We're going to play those stories of showing humanity that we can cross bridges of seemingly opposite worlds and seemingly opposite realms. Sometimes the threading together of these timelines will be from different realms altogether. And you're not going to know it until years down the road, where your multidimensionality perspectives from the brain and how the brain perceives what's going on in reality, until after the fact you say, oh God, I remember that. Some of these things are beyond explanation. I can't go into all of it because most of you will not understand or get it, and that's okay. It's not where you're at right now. But what we want to focus on is just you having the clear knowing that you and your guides, you and your higher self, that's all you need to worry about for such advice on such powerful things for your life. So really go within and do the path work. If you want a session with me, you can book a session with me. And you want those really true, I've got this going on of this is what I truly feel to be real. Trust how you feel. Trust how you feel inside your body. Your body is going to show you all the time. You really feel like going towards them? Go with that. Trust how you feel. Your body is telling you. Really release and let go of anybody and their dog coming up from the peanut gallery. And we say this with great respect. But when you look at it from the higher perspective, that's really what it is. It's everybody and their dog wanting their way to make way in for their energy to be a part of your story when it's really not. It's nobody's part of the story. It's nobody's business. These are decisions made at God consciousness level. These are decisions made at galactic, universal, planetary level. And they're really important. And they're not somebody that your cousin Jean is going to know anything about. No, there's no judgment, cousin Jean. But you want to have those really important lessons about soulmates. You could really surrender all your soulmate journeys to Source. Source knows you inside and out. Source knows those beings coming up on ascension. Source knows those beings that are going to pull out. Source knows those beings that aren't quite ready yet. Source can know those beings that they got hijacked by their ex-wife and now they're out. These times are really dynamic and change. Please don't trust anybody outside Source for any of these directives. And it's great that your family cares, and it's great that your friends and all want to have their input. That's fine, but it's going to confuse you and just bottle up your field with more energy that you don't need to take on. Be very sure and real about who you are. And then just get rid of the noise and allow your choice to be truly how you feel inside. Because then that's Source trusts you and you trust Source. So yeah, take me on this journey, Source. I always talk about this beautiful soulmate that I had, and I love him dearly, and he's always somebody that I call upon, and he's in the Pleiades right now. He was on Earth, and he passed away a few years ago, and he was a very important person to me in my growth. He was a very important person for me to step beyond some very horrible wounds that I'd have from Divine Masculine. He had helped me through a lot of that process, and he had helped me after he passed. And so he was there for me as that go-to male counterpart. He was a counterpart of mine. And up until about before he passed, I thought, okay, well, perhaps he might come in and be my partner. I was just kind of wondering where things were going. And Spirit said, no, we've got something else for you. And I said, oh, okay. I hadn't known at that point where my soulmate was going to be, because I was healing from all of the past things with my ex. And so Spirit says there's about five people that are throwing their hats in. Just know that there's a lot of competition, and there's going to be people trying to pull at you from here, and here. But God is always watching, and God always has your highest and your best. And God and your teams, although it's your free will, it's always your choice at the end of the day. But your higher self and your God and your teams are always going to lift those that are of their highest compatibility for what your soul truly needs. And that means that, for instance, for me, because I have had so many lifetimes in really imbalance of not being loved and giving so much love out, Source is really going to pair you with those that are just going to pour love on you, and so to you them. And you're going to have that both soft heart and that soft space with each other that only you two can recognize. So those are things that only Source would know. Source would know the timelines you've had. Source would know how many timelines you had together. And so this other option came in, and he's in the collective, and he knows who he is. I think he knows who he is. And so he was a twin flame of mine, and he's still a twin flame of mine. And so I hold him in high regard, and he's a very beautiful person. But things didn't work out, right? So he's, and as far as I know, they didn't work out. Doesn't know. Things could be moving back and forth any minute now. But as far as I know, things didn't work out. Things are changing left, right, and center. So I'm just saying, but I was sad that he was going to go his way. He was going to go a different way, because there was things in his timeline that weren't just ready yet. They weren't ready to go where I was going. And of course, my path with Source, I'm going to keep going. I'm not stopping for anybody or nobody. So sorry about that, but you're having a good time anyways. You're good where you are. I'm good where I am. But this is how it goes with soulmates and partnerships. You have to be really let go of a lot of the stress about these partnerships, people. God will always have somebody for you. God will always find somebody for you, because God knows who's in the back office that never showed their face to you, and you've walked by them a billion times, but all of a sudden they come to you one day with flowers and just pour their heart out to you and say how much they love you, and you've only known them as somebody that hides behind the corner and you can only see their eyes, right? So you don't know, but they're very advanced in spiritual, but they're on it from a different angle. But Spirit knows what Spirit has in store for you as far as your job role, your vocation. That's so important, your career vocation, because so many of us are going to be moved into positions of leadership. So many of us are going to be moved into positions of creating new earth systems. We need good leaders. We need people that are going to have partners that are going to help carry the loads. We're going to need people that are going to understand this is a spiritual journey now. And this is the big shift that's passing around. And why we wanted to say that. And we say this with great love and great playfulness. Like, let's laugh at ourselves and let's not take anything as as like dharma anymore. Like, let's just relax all the karmic energies, and let's just everybody know we're on a great spiritual journey here. It's always been spiritual, but from here on out, the changes and the shifts that are happening is a spiritual shift. Humanity is remembering itself as spiritual. Humanity is remembering all Source Creator as spiritual. Spiritual is in everything and all things, and why we must think quantumly, why we must think and reintroduce science and spirit in all things, because it always is. It never can be separate. To remember ourselves as quantum, to remember ourselves as all one. And then you can release a lot of these things about these old ways and these old dogmatic ways that you thought you needed to follow and be, and then get the advice of all these people that they're not quite where you are and they never really were. So why would you want their advice? Why would you get their information and just add more noise to your space? It might make them feel good, but you're just adding more noise to your space. And at this point in time of all these important shiftings, the last thing you need is people confusing you, because that's exactly what the enemies are doing. And we say enemies very laughably, because they're not going to ever change your soul's blueprint and your destiny with Source. Your destiny is your destiny. As long as you believe in that, there's nobody going to take it away from you. It is very important, though, that we have to teach our children about the light body systems and the light body's wisdoms, because there's a lot of people out there that are still trying to steal destinies. There's a lot of people out there that still think that they can swap destinies and they can swap souls, and they're out there sacrificing left, right, and center. There's been a lot of sacrificing lately, and the people that have been doing the sacrifices are now getting it back tenfold. And they're all going through a lot of really bad karma. It has to be this way. Because what we're learning right now and humanity is awakening to, this is a spiritual journey. The meek are inheriting the earth. Why? Because the meek have been doing the spiritual work. And we're going to be led by higher vibrational spiritual intentions. And it is going to be aligned with the Divine Father's plan. As we said in the last 15 minutes of my last video was very pivotal. Where we were talking about the equations of source. Listen to the last 50 minutes of that video and listen to it over and over and over and over again. There's lots of codes in there. Because where we're going is that. We're going with the source equation. That if I move forward and I'm only aligned with me and my higher self will take me anywhere. My higher self knows what dimensions I've been on. My higher self knows the uniqueness and my gifts and skills and talents that nobody else could have done but me. Nobody else could have done those 8 years that I went back to hell. And nobody could have done that but me. But I come forward and now I'm working with a whole different level of operative tools in my toolkit. And now I'm the only one that can do what I do. Now I'm starting to work with, okay, well, how does light affect the brain? And I'm going to be helping out with, research here and research there. I'm going to be all over the place. Because that's what God wants of me, because I'm so eclectic. I have so much to offer. Why would I only want to be in one space? Again, people that you go to for advice and energy from, they're still only going to look at it from what they know in their perspective of where they're at in their consciousness. If their consciousness is only a 3D level and they only ever live from a 3D level, like those witches and warlocks that mine into the Akash, all they ever focus on is what they can steal, rape, and take. Because they've given so much of their soul away, they've sold so much of their soul, they're not activated in any aspect of higher light. So don't ever ask people for advice that are not activated all the way up and they're working from the highest realms. I mean, you're going to learn a lesson from it, right? Because some of these people are going to be sent in to distract you and dissuade you to see, are you really on path? You have to know that about ascension. Every cycle of ascension, you're going to be sent people to protagonist and to attack and to take you off path. Because you're meant to get stronger and stronger every cycle of ascension. No, I'm reclaiming my power. I'm reclaiming my light. This is who I am now. Why? Because every spiral of ascension, you're given greater, pure, refined light. The light gets more pure. That's why Jesus said, the path is straight and narrow. It's narrowing. Why? Because the light is becoming more pure and rarefied. And there's going to be people that cannot match that light. They just haven't done enough karma, and they will go into psychosis. What psychosis is, it's like a detachment of the reality that the person thinks it's in. So especially those that do a lot of conjuring and rituals, when you're forcing rituals and you're forcing, the chanting and all that, you're actually telling you're telling your body, you're telling your mind, your brain, and you're telling your reality that it must go into this experience. It must go into this equation. It's very dark and negative. You're forcing that onto yourself. It's your vortex it's going to. And then when the psychosis breaks, when this rare light hits, this little psyche aspect and all of these are trying to figure out what's going on, but all you're doing is forcing it into dark conjuring. And that's when you go into absolute episodes. And you have breakdown episodes. Because your brain doesn't know what the fuck's going on. Your soul aspects don't know what the fuck's going on. There's pure light coming in. You can't see it. Doesn't mean it's not true. When somebody tells you they love you, love is just a word, but you can't tell it's love. What shows that love is your work with Source. No, I know love now. I might be single and I might not have anything, but I know love. I know love like I've never known love before. Because of my path work, because of what I teach, because of the Celestials will never leave me. I have ancestors that will kick anybody's ass if they even look at me the wrong way. I'm so loved. But that's because I put so much back into the collective, because I believe in God's plan. I believe in the plan of God that says, there's no way anybody could have told me. No way. When I started doing my path work and having the dreams and writing in my journal and writing about my dreams, there's no way anybody could have told me this is where I would be. No way. Spirit said, just keep drawing. And I said, what do you mean just keep drawing? And I used to draw. And the people that were against me and all the people that have been raping and stealing and taking from me, they've made a ton of money off my stuff and they had no right to. I've earned nothing off my work, and these people have been stealing from me for years. My ex, Eric Raimundo Perez, I'm going to name you. I'm going to keep naming you until you're in jail and everybody you belong with. My property is my property. My illustrations are my illustrations. My illustrations are coded just for me. It's like the Ark of the Covenant, and this is very true. It doesn't matter if you believe it or not, because if you test it, you're going to be shown. I am the Ark of the Covenant. Anything that I create, anything that I give forward, anything that I magistrate is a vibration of God, and it is meant from, for, in, of, as the divine plan of the Divine Father.
And if it is not given in the highest in benevolence of the greater good of all, then it won't serve the greater good of all, and you will get karma as the Ark of the Covenant, as the sacred chalice. You think these things are just frivolous and frivolity stories of myth. They're not. These are coded things by Source Creator. Source Creator has given these things as a test to all of humanity. Will humanity honor and bow to the thing of God? Will you bow to the sacred chalice? Will you bow to the Ark of the Covenant? Will you heed its guidance? Will you heed its resonance? And we know by those people that have done so. No, we're going to take, steal, and rape it. We're going to call it ours. We're going to put our stamp on it. And we're going to put you in invisibility. We're going to block your YouTube account. We're going to block, make sure you're veiled. We're going to make sure that everybody's bullying you. We're going to make sure we're doing magic on you every day. And we're going to use our fake AI page as your work. And people made a lot of money out of making me look like a Truman. The whole Truman Show. Everybody's made a ton of money off my energy, off my intellect, off my wisdoms. I'm running the world times 3. I'm running circles around the world leaders times 3. And I'm not even getting paid a penny and I'm living on the streets. So you tell me, dear lighted ones, you want to keep testing God. You want to keep testing the universal laws. You want to keep testing these end of time and these changing of time and these judgment of times. And you want to keep testing energy. Keep going ahead. You're going to keep meeting your demise. The Ark of the Covenant's going to keep coming down on you. My work is always going to be my work. You're never going to understand my work because you're not coded like I am. You're not even close to it. Why? Because your soul's blueprint is meant for you. You're down at a low vibrational 3D level and I'm up here at the 5. Now you can either get on my wave and you can start doing things in the appropriate way, do unto others, or get off. And it's going to be shown to you day by day by day by day. Because you cannot keep abusing people because you want to maintain your selfish, greedy, low vibrational, choosing to unheal, choosing never to get healed, choosing to be all that you have been, egregious, satanic, sadistic, masochistic, misogynistic, hateful people. And the leaders of the countries and the leaders of the cities and the cities of Calgary and the cities of Calgary police. There has been so much corruption. There's been so much ill of will done. There's been so much inciting of danger, inciting of very bad things, and you all know it. And now you're all behind the 8 ball, as I said you would be 2 years ago. Go back to my videos. I said, if you continue doing what you're doing, if you do not call these people out, if you do not arrest these people now, you're going to be behind the 8 ball, and you're going to have a whole list of charges that you absolutely knew you did no due diligence on, and you haven't. There's corrupt lawyers, there's corrupt judges, there's corrupt police, there's corrupt people in the FBI and the CIA. Everybody, there's corrupt people, and you're all going to get culled. You're all going to get plucked. And if you don't go to the authorities and give them your specific story on who's been directing you, on who's been paying you, you don't have a hope in hell. And these are the 2 things I've said from day 1. And it's all coming out in the wash. Why? Because the meek will inherit the earth. This is God's plan, and there ain't nobody that's going to write over it. These are truths. These are quantum truths. Why? I can go back to the energy thing. These people that have been doing these things for a very long time, they've been selling their soul to Satan and devil and whatever deities they think that are not God. It's all God. And at any time, God can say, these people have had enough of their playtime. They've been given 18 billion warnings to come right and do right, but they choose not to. Go in, Satan, go in, Lucifer, and you can take your souls. Take them. Because they've been given enough warnings and enough heatings, boom, 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 boom. They stay on the lower realm. They still operate in this way. And God says, okay, you've played a part of that contract. You've taken part of that. Now we're going to put it on hold for a little while because my plan's got to move this way. And they will, because they're still in boss of God. They're not against each other, people. In the system of us being tested as light workers, they're just a part of our test for us to get stronger and for us to keep going in light. There has to be the duality. You have to play it off with that's where you have your power, people. It's not by carrying a gun around and knocking everybody off by sacrifices. No, it's by honoring all realms and having intelligence in all realms, which most people don't. So then for I said, why would you go to anybody outside of you for advice and guidance at this very important time? Don't. Trust who you are within yourself. Do the work. When you do the work, you can be, do, say, be, create, whatever you want because you're you are you. And you keep growing in you. And nobody's going to knock you off you. Why? Because it's you. God's only making you more you. You get to trust you. You get to be you. You get to create with you. And everybody's going to want to be with you. Why? Because you're so magnetic. And people pass you up a lot of times because you're walking by, and you might look a certain way and you might be judged and you might be discriminated. You might be off on another room because, well, you didn't have a degree. And this was the very important part about my life. God made sure that I didn't get degrees, that I didn't get certificates. because God was going to put me in a position where I didn't need it. Why? Because it's godly energy. I can go to any dimension and I can take whatever dimension, I can bring it here. Here it is. Do you have a degree in that? No. So then you judge me for it. Would you have asked Jesus? If Jesus was sitting here right now, and he is, would you ask Jesus for his resume and his credentials? Of course not, because you're all still saying, well, Jesus is going to come back and resurrect us all. Did Jesus have a certificate? No, but when it comes to a divine feminine, boy, you want her to pay, you want her to punish, you want her to break her back and her soul, you want her to do this and prove that. And even if you ask her on a resume, no, I'm going to test her. I'm going to test her psychology. I'm going to test her resilience. I'm going to test this. I'm going to test that. It's egregious. It's barbaric. Nobody understands soul infusion. Nobody understands the aspects of the soul. Nobody understands to be healed and what soul fragments mean. That's okay. I get to teach it. I still get to be who I am. I'm not going to change. I'm being directed by God. God is my jurisdiction. The federations are my jurisdiction. I come from the higher councils. I come from the higher spiritual courts. That's my jurisdiction. I actually have aspects of me in the spiritual court. I'm actually proceeding over some of your cases in the spiritual realm. I'm the one handing down your sentencing from the spiritual realm to this realm. Anubis always walks with me. Anubis never goes anywhere. He's always with me. Because at any moment, God can say, we've got some souls coming through. Can you help them transfer into spirit? And I help those souls transfer. That's a part of my job. But for me, facing any of you, I can be wearing anything, and I can be wearing my Friday night clothes, and I can be going out and you'll judge me. Just as they judged John the Baptist. Just as they judged Jesus. Just because Jesus spoke of a multidimensional God and always spent his time outside, why can't that God be true? There's still so much discrimination and bigotry. And for anybody to say that I don't deserve anything, you don't know anything about me. You're a tiny little speck. You're like an ant. You don't know anything about me. You don't know anything about the grandness of who I am and the grandness of what God has shown me. You're a bully in the playground saying that I don't deserve anything. Who are you? You don't know anything about me. You're seeing from your perspective a misogyny. So see from your perspective, I'm not asking you any information. I didn't invite you to my channel. You came into my channel. You enforced your way in. So why are you here? In a court of law, I would ask you that. If you say that I don't deserve anything, why are you here spending your time on my channel? Why are you here? Do you want to know what the spirit said? Because the spirit of that soul is still getting something. And the person that's in that seat that said, well, I just want to see what you're going to do because I don't agree with anything you're doing. You don't deserve anything you're doing, and I hate everything about you, but you're still sitting in the chair. Why are you sitting here? Why you still got it turned on? What's a number right now, spirit? What's a number of the people listening right now at this moment, future now moments, that absolutely have hate in their hearts, that have been spewing hate at me and projecting hate at me, but they're still on the line watching? What's a number? 57 to 100. So why are you sitting there watching? Do you want to know what some of them said? Because we like you. Because there's a part of you that sees love and knows love. And what I speak is love. And it's a code of love. And the only way for you to be healed, and the only way for you to know yourself better, and the only way for you to get out of wherever you're in is love. And you can pretend to be hateful, because this is how some men work, and this is what they've been taught and told and shown. And we're not saying this is any egregious act. You have to get over it. This is your healing. Many men have been told, I've got to be strong. I've got to put up walls. I've got to be detached. I've got to show her I've got to be cold. I've got to show her that I'm going to bully her, and that just means I like her. And there's a lot of men that grew up like this from my generation. That if they poked at you and they tripped you and they punched you and they hit you, that means they like you. Now, what kind of an abusive home does that type of a mentality come from? Keep them lean and mean? Is that one of the things? That's a saying that in some people's house homes. You got to be mean to keep them lean. Keep them on their toes. Just keep beating them around. These are some of the statements that women have to grow up with that's in the imprints of the field. That grows up to be some misogyny. And so all of those watching that don't think they want to watch, they don't want to watch, but they sign on every day I go live. I'm appreciating you for coming because why? Because your higher self and your soul are giving you every possibility to get the codes of pure love, to get the codes of pure truth, to get the codes of pure multidimensionality that you need to advance your soul so that you do not remain in the lower realms for eternity. And perhaps you give yourself some of that offering or not. I don't care. I do care how many opportunities have been raped from me. I care how many opportunities have been stolen from me. I care how many opportunities have been absolutely blocked from me and withheld from me. I care about the monies that have been withheld. I care about the monies that have been stolen. I care about the number of people, up to 250 right now, that have been involved in ensuring that my life be absolutely nothing but poverty, pain, death, and hate and masochism shown towards me. That's what I care about. Because if this is what's been conformed, and if this is what people actually sign up and say, hey, I want to be a part of that coven, are you kidding me? That's your compass. It's to make somebody's life hell. That's your compass? And then you're showing this energy. You pretend that you're showing it, and you might smile going into your church, and you might smile saying hi to your kids, but at heart, there's nothing in there but hate. And the only way from this point forward, dear lighted ones, as every ascension cycle comes and goes, and you don't do anything on your behalf of your responsibility, of your accountability to show spirit, to show the universe, to show your spiritual family, to show your ancestors, to show your children, to show any story that may or may not be written about you. Because this at this point is your legacy. That you did everything you could to hate people. You did everything you could to take money from people to hate people. You did everything you could to make one divine feminine healer, the twin ray of Jesus, to make her life hell and to take her out and kill her. And that's your legacy story. And any of you think that that's going to give you a blessing or a clout, that you think you're going to be rewarded in any way but going to hell or jail, you're sadly mistaken. And I will show you quantumly, and every day you get karma will be your demise. And it has been, and it is, and it will continue to be. That is the only outcome of quantum law. It's an equation. You put in hate, you're going to get hate back. You will not grow. You will not grow in light. You will not grow in opportunity. And Source Creator and your guides will make sure you stay held back. And you will not be protected by your guides. And you will get eaten by the same entities and deities that you send to others. Because right now it is a no tolerance rule. All that you do is being sent back to you. Exactly you and only you. So think 2 or 3 times before who you ask information from, about who says who, goes into who's Akash how many times, and you think you want to give that person credit. They're abusing spiritual laws. Get away from them. You're going to be tested at every point of the gavel from here on out, because some of you might move into higher vibrational leadership rules and roles, and some of you won't. You will not be moved forward if you're continually taking the backside and going around somebody else's way, by falling into somebody else's word, by going this way and that way, and taking the long way because you want to maybe take some extra time, and you maybe want Bill Bobby Joe over here has a deal for you, and Bill Bobby J over there has a deal for you, and Satan number 1 over here has this thing for you, and Satan number 2 over there has a Satan 43, and all of these rules that these Satan and all these people are going by. I bet any money, if you gathered all of these satanic cults all in one, and they were all at all tables, and you asked any one of these Satan cults, anyone answer on any one of their rules, I bet any money they'd all say something different, because none of them know what they're talking about. None of them are higher spiritual order. None of them have any idea about true spiritual knowledge. None of them have all of them have been misguided and misinformed, and they have wrong information about spirit. Bing, bang, boom. They might think they're calling on an entity. They might have the best black voodooist, and they might have the best black high priestess, and they might think all of these little things. These things are from 3,000 to 5,000 years ago. It's no longer valid in a pure, refined 5D light, and it will be proven every day. If you keep practicing in what you practice for money and pain of suffering of others, you will be set out. Bye. Move on. And this is how it's going to be. These are laws. If you're choosing not to step on the higher board, that's where you will be. It can be the only answer. You chose it. You chose the devil. You chose Satan. You chose to take people's lives. That's what you chose. You were misguided, you were misinformed, and you were given a billion opportunities to just do unto others. You're not going to get another timeline with another 3D body to play this do unto others rule. If you don't get do unto others, you're not going to have another timeline. You just won't. These are the rules, people. Your soul must progress. It must progress. And wow, I learned about that part about when I wasn't compassionate. I learned about that. Let's go to this area. I learned when I wasn't forgiving. I learned there. I really learned that lesson. This is called soul progression, where the masters take one virtue, patience, and they will study virtue for thousands of years. This is mastery, dear lighted ones. And you're worried about getting $50 to go and hate somebody on their live chat, Ryan. Really? This is intelligence to you people? There's been so much misguidance. We need to start from scratch. Wisdoms of light intelligence only will get you to where you truly want to go, because it's not about false and fake claims and clout. The industry of music is going to be changed. It's the art and entertainment field now. That is being handed over to new leadership, and the leadership will be spiritual, because that's what all creativity is. How can it not be? Every piece of inspiration comes through your pineal from the higher self. How can it not be spiritual? Of course it is. You've just been taught wrong things. You've been taught wrong things. I'm telling you, it's wrong. To have anybody as a gatekeeper in an entertainment field is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And they're all getting karma, and it's all being seen. They've been harvesting off people like myself. They had no right to. They had no permission. And my life sat as hell while these people sat in multi-million-dollar homes and multi-million-dollar paychecks, and we're going out for dinner and messing around in hotels and with anybody that they wanted to, because they wanted to be big clout chaser, that they were the ins and the outs of the all, and they were throwing money all around, and they were doing their little rap parties and all of these little things that they did. Meanwhile, the people they were harvesting are sitting homeless, knowing and wrapping circles around every world leader times 10. Yeah, well, where's my intelligence working for me now? Every single one of you is going out, because that's my ranking. Out, out, out. You showed no respect to me. You showed no respect to the father. You showed no respect to the mother. Bye. It is that easy, people. We've been talking about this for 6 years. The underground secret covens and secret society abuses, we've been talking about this for 6 years. Elite soul harvesting is done. No more harvesting. You will not harvest from the children. You will not harvest from us. You will not touch my soul. If you put my name in your mouth for anything that is nefarious, any plot, plan, scheme, bid, bet, or sale, or any trade, any RICO, anything of a sacrifice, anything of a hit, you put my name in your mouth and you will get karma immediately. The ancestors can't wait, and God said, make it happen. This is where we're at. You don't have clout any longer. It's a new garden, and it's new seed, and it's new nourishment every day. And you either put up with the light and keep up with the light, or you're going to be moved. It is just that easy. Your vibrational code, your core vibration has to match where you're at. Corruption will be culled. And when it does, all of humanity gets the benefit of that new higher vibration, because we're clearing out the junk. We're clearing out the darkness. We're clearing out the wrong beliefs. What in any way of thinking, dear lighted ones, if we place this on the table with the highest level of compassion, anybody brings to you any sort of a statement, if we take out this person and that person, and we take out their child, and we do black magic on here, here, and here, and we make sure she never gets her money here, here, and here, now that's going to make us big and popular, and we're going to be big and important, because we have a few entertainment people behind us, and we have a few shadow government people behind us. We're always going to be safe. Now you tell me, in your soul's evolution, this is what God wants to get through to all of you. In the evolution of your soul, however many timelines you're on, whatever planets you're on, whatever bodies you're on, the next time you come back or don't come back, in the evolution of your soul and how important you are, the information in your chakras, the information in your fields, in everything that you are as a soul, in what intelligence is it to actually go along with anything where anybody says, we're going to take somebody out and you're going to get some money for it? That's going to be the evolution of your soul. Really? Really? And then you have the right, and then you have the audacity to stand in front of children and say that you're higher order, you're righteous. You're grooming them just to be like you. And that's why God had all of us come in. Because entropy is only a matter of 5 years away, people. So all the corrupt leaders and the corrupt shadow government and the corrupt judges and the corrupt lawyers, what good is your fancy house going to do, and all the deeds that you've taken and the bets that you've taken and your diseased bodies, because you're filled with so much regret and so much remorse of your bad deeds, and you're lying to people's faces while you're still getting paid the highest paychecks in your city, and people rely on you. Shame on all of you. This is your judgment day. There are people sitting in places of court and order, and they wear robes. And they have been selling people out left, right, and center. How dare you? You will be culled. Memphis. There is a judge and there is a lawyer in Memphis. Get your affairs in order. I see you. I'm piercing your soul right now. Yeah, I shook you, didn't I? Get your affairs in order. You're next. This man has an afro, and he has a beard and mustache. Force your way into my field, and you take people's lives, and you put them behind bars inadvertently, by mistake, by equations of not seeing paperwork. If you do not do your job that you have signed up for and you get paid for, you will absolutely be walking the line. And I will be in court for it. And the higher realms and the higher spiritual courts will pull you out. Did I not tell you that I'm also handing out your sentences in the higher spiritual realm? You come and test me. Test me. You all judged me. You all claimed me as stupid and dumb and that you could have me dead within 30 days. And who are you now? You're on your way to jail. That's where you are. And that's why I trust God. Because nobody on this earthly plane has done anything but try to kill me. None of you are my friends. None of you are my family. God is. And I'm bringing higher spiritual order, and I ain't going to stop, and I ain't going to sit down until every child is liberated. This planet will be liberated. She already is. Catch up, people. There will be no more subjugation. There will be no more suppression in MK Ultra. There will be no more military agendas to suppress the people. I asked everybody and the world leaders, make sure that you're redirecting your nuclear warhead programs and the money's going to it, and you will disassemble them, and you will put the monies back to healing. And you will do that immediately. Am I heard? Thank you. Make sure that goes in the Akash, please, Spirit. June 30th is everybody's deadline. The Black Web, June 30th. Trafficking rings, June 30th. You're not going to be bringing drugs from anywhere. No drugs and no machine guns back and forth at any borders. Keep it in your own countries. You want to be ignorant, keep it in your country and see what happens. This garden is changing, dear lighted ones, and it's vibrational, and there ain't nothing higher. There ain't nothing more powerful. There ain't nothing better and higher than truth. You going to live it? It's up to you. It's free will. Nobody's going to drag you. Nobody's going to do the work for you, and you don't get a secret pass because you're in a secret society or you're 34, 33, 83 degree something, nothing. No, everybody's at the same place right now. And those people that are of high integrity and those people with the passion to be who they are in the most authentic places, they're going to be the ones we're putting in the best positions, because that's all that matters is your alignment with source and your passion to be who you are authentically. That's going to be what makes your ranking. You don't have to have a certificate. You don't have to have your education. Because we're going to be learning 5D. And that 3D education doesn't really make anything in 3D, in 5D. You're going to come up with it from your higher self alignment. That's where you're going to come up with your information. And everybody will be trained. And everybody will be doing their path work. Everybody will be stopping throughout the day, twice a day, for 5 to 10 minute meditations periods. And this will help your health. This will help your alignment with source. 2 times a day, stop for 10 to 15 minutes and have your alignment with source for twice a day. That's all you need. Twice a day for 10 to 15 minutes. And if you do your path work in the morning for 2 hours, that means sitting in meditation, aligning with your body, aligning with love, aligning with your guides, and having your daily goals on what you're doing with your teams. How are you working with your teams? What's your career vocation with your teams? It might be to go read a book. It might be to take extra walk on your break. Your teams will give you very simple things to do. Your teams might give you a vision. Your teams might give you a number. Your teams might give you something to look into for your health. Work with your teams 2 hours every morning. And then twice a day, stop for 10 to 15 minutes twice a day and just tune into Spirit. Thank you, Spirit, for my body. Thank you, Spirit, for where you're guiding me. Thank you, Holy Gaia. Thank you, Gaia, for all the help you're giving me with finding this new food that's healthy for me. Thank you to the new people I bumped into. Thank you for the beautiful man that paid for my dinner last night. Thank you to the beautiful person that left money on my table last night while I fell asleep having coffee. Thank you to the beautiful people that didn't steal my stuff last night while I was sleeping on the street. It just takes 2 times a day, dear lighted ones, for you to know that you're on a spiritual journey. You always have been. But you've been so disconnected in the fight or flight experiences, in the attacking experiences, and all these silly, ridiculous Illuminati games from the beginning of time, where they took a few things of the underground Egyptian temples and they took it into their own egoic experiences and started to make it their own silly Aryan race BS. All of these things are so old and corrupt. It's ugh. Ugh. How could you even say some of these things with a straight face? No, Illuminati. If some of the Illuminatis, whatever, if they call themselves an Illuminati, don't even know what it is anymore. What is it? What is it? What's the Illuminati? Who are you? Who are you? You're the ones that have been directing. You're the ones that have been taking all the money. You're the ones that what? Have you had my back? Have the Illuminati had my back? Some of us. Thank you, some of you. So those Illuminati that have had my back, we're going to call you something different now. We're going to call you the Legions. We're going to call you the Archangel Legions because the Illuminati is a little bit old. It's getting old. Call yourselves whatever you want. The Illuminati is no more. The power structures on this earth are changing. It's done. Boom. Just like that. That's my ranking. And it's going to be okay. And God's going to make it okay. And the legions are going to make it okay. And the highest of the legions and the biggest of the legions are going to make it okay that your feathers are ruffled. Let them be ruffled. Because you have to be sat down. Your ego has to be put in check. And you have to start doing your healing. If you want to go on this ride, you're going to have your feathers ruffled. Get over it. And get healed. We're moving in a new direction. We're moving forward in our spiritual journey because we are. Everything is spiritual from here on out. It always has been. It always will be. It has nothing to do with religion. If you want to keep your religious ways, then keep your religious ways. I have nothing to say about what your choices are. You have free will. But you will not enforce wrong information onto the people that will not get them through ascension, and you will not hide ascension wisdoms. The people need healing. And those that choose to ascend have their birthright, and Source will make sure of it. You will be moved out of the way because that person's birthright trumps your selfish, greedy acts. And this is spiritual law coming straight at you from the highest spiritual courts. In every day you walk forward, dear lighted ones, I show you how to align to your higher self and your higher self only. Only heed what's within. Only. And those that have been aligned and initiated with the heavens, like myself and a few others, there should be nobody that's going into the Akashic records in and out all day long. They should never be tapping into anybody else's records. There's only a few of us that are trained and initiated to go in and out of the Akash for healing purposes only. And we're only given those such situations when they sit in front of us for a session, and then the records are closed and protected. So be very wary about people that say these things and flaunt their self around like this. They're just egoic, and they're not aligned with their higher self. Their higher self would never behave this way. The higher self is everything that is reverence. If people are not speaking of reverence for spirit, for reverence of the Divine Father's plan, of reverence for life, of reverence for the children, of reverence of liberation and sovereignty, if these things are not in discussion, be very wary about where you're going with any of these people. And again, why would you ask any of them any information about your guidance? They can only know where they are aligned with vibrationally and consciously. If they're not doing the work, their consciousness is low because that's all they've chosen to align with. And that's their choice. At this point of ascension, everybody knows in every day you can align and be heart-centered, and you can choose to move forward in every way and talk with your teams and talk with your higher self and move about your consciousness in expansive ways so that you're doing what's best for you, and you can give your children the highest light that you can because you're maximizing your highest light. You're growing with spirit, which means they're growing with spirit. Your children are directly related to you in every soul's contract. So if you're not doing anything with your soul's blueprint, you're going to impede theirs. And this is a fact. So thus then, after we've gone through all of these rules of ascension, we're going to go on to today's topics, and that is honor your families, yes and no, for all they've taught you in the karmic black and white, in the dark and the light. Honor everybody. Don't put any weight on anybody's offering of what they think you should do about your life from here on out. Go straight to God. You need to trust God more than anybody else at this point in time. God knows your blueprint inside and out. God knows what next 10 steps you're going to make for your career vocation 10 times out, because God might have you doing something totally different on the other side of the world with a whole group of new people that are doing something totally different with another part of the galaxy. This is how things are right now, and this is very exciting. We've never been this liberated before. Isn't this exciting? So think beyond and above and beyond and above. We're meant to be so free and liberated people. And we want to have everybody trained in their highest excitement, because each and every one of you has a divine soul's blueprint. Each and every one of you has a higher self. Each and every one of you has teams and spirits and guides. Every single one of you has a gift. Every single one of you have skills and talents from your ancestors. Every single one of you have a gift with Gaia. Every single one of you have a gift with your collective. And you're going to be making money however you want. Just trust God and how God's guiding you. It's that simple. It doesn't have to be anything more complex. This is why a lot of the middlemen that were created to divert people and to move people and control people and to handle people, there will be no more handling. There will never be any more handling on this planet. It's being abolished. Handling is abolished. What high society does handling? What high intelligence ever does handling? Would God ever handle you? If you're abusing and taking people out, God's going to handle you. God will handle you and pick you up and put you out. Disrespect on all levels. Who gives you breath? God. You can be breathed in by God just like that. That's how God showed me. God showed me. The people that are the people that are continually to abuse and rape, this is what God showed me. God showed me this picture, and all of these dots that were in the abuse of sacrificing and killing people were just breathed right back out. The inhale, that's all God has to do. Inhale, and your souls are taken up. That's God. God breathed you, God can taketh you. That's not a warning. That's not any fear. This is facts. Because you've chosen to be ignorant and turn your ears off for how many years now, while I suffered in the street, while I suffered having no money, while I suffered being away from my kids, and nobody gave a crap. So, okay, now there's not going to be a lot of caregiving back and forth because that's what you've asked for. You've asked for that. You prepared for that. You did about 8,000 rituals and acts of deeds and harm, and a lot of people have been taken out. So what do you think is going to come back to you? You're going to be given a silver tray and say, here's your ascension pass. You have low consciousness, but come on anyways? No, you're not going to be able to make it. You're going to go into psychosis the second you hit into 5D light. You haven't trained your body. You haven't trained your mind. You haven't given your teams time to work on the brain and the enhancements of the brain. You haven't acted any of your DNA. You haven't worked with any of your chakras. You're not balanced on your divine feminine masculine energies at all. You got to be initiated in all these things. So again, why would you ask anybody that has been doing what they're doing and lost, and they don't have any connection with higher self or source? Discern who you're listening to, where you're getting guidance from. From here on out, the shift is going. The meek are inheriting the earth. Thank you. We've earned our positions. There will be many shifts. There will be many things coming, and we're going to keep seeding our garden. So we're putting the blanket statement out to all of humanity. All of those things, think for the rest of this week, what are your excitements? And sit in your meditations every day. What are my excitements? And tomorrow we're going to do a meditation, and we're going to call forward new Earth Star, vocational, information, energies, and guides. We're going to call in all these new guides and all these new celestials that can help us. Guide us through these energies so we can start envisioning, we can start practicing, we can start culminating, and we can start calling in new people and new tribe people of how we're going to gather and how we're going to start to create these new systems. The priority will be healing, because there's a lot that we can learn from what we have gone through. Why have we gone through such dark arrays of imbalance through the dark occults and believing in things that have done nothing but take people out and kill people? Why has that been so huge on the planet? Why is there the wounding that there is? Where are these generations and genres coming from? There needs to be a lot of research. And equally, on the other hand, we need to start healing those people that have been affected by it and get them back balanced in their divine feminine masculine energies, get them reintroduced to their higher self and their frequencies of light, their star seeds, their celestial guides, and who they are and what they are and why they are here on this planet. Because everybody has a purpose. Everybody has a mission with God. Everybody has a divine being, a being star seed. Everybody has their right to be here and be exactly who they am in their authenticity, in their genuineness, and just create and express. If you only do that, then you have fulfilled your divine soul's purpose. If that's all you do, you fulfilled your soul's purpose. The 3 E's is all you need to fulfill your soul's purpose. How you do it in honor of people. I mean, obviously, if you're doing it in the negative, then you're going to be moved out. We're talking about those that positively move and say, what am I here for? All of these really extenuous, existential questions that you have, it really comes down to very simple. You're here to always explore who you are, spirit, the I am, the I am. You're here to always express yourself. Expression is directly related to a lot of the mental illnesses and a lot of the diseases we have on our planet. There will be a lot of research going into the expression. There'll be a lot of research going into this, and I'm going to be heading up a lot of this. Because I've been through a lot of it. I've spearheaded it. I've been in triangulation since the beginning of the day I was born. I've been cursed and hexed since the day I was born. We're going to do a lot of work in this arena. Expression is pivotal to heal much of the mental illnesses and depression on our planet. And your experience of source. If you experience your source in every day that you can, I'm a higher version of source than I was yesterday. I'm starting to get this consciousness thing. I'm starting to be excited about who I am. God's got a path for me. God's got a plan for me. If I didn't believe in 100,000% of what I'm saying, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you all today. And you all know that. I'm your proof. You don't need to be your proof, but this is it. There is no other path. There is no other agenda that has been more damaging and distrusting and disgusting than mine. The amount of people that tried to take me out, the amount of people that tried to suppress me, the amount of people that tried to rip my soul from me, to tell me how stupid I am and dumb I am, that I'm worth nothing, and that I shouldn't be here, and how hateful people are towards me, that have been pressed on this since the day I was born. If I can stand and say, God's got a plan for you, and God will love you so dearly, and God will make sure that you are lifted above all. All you need is that one person to say, there's a plan so high, you have no idea how high it is, and God's going to take you places. How much do you trust in God? And I'm also here to activate all of those that have been in church and state, and how much you said you believed in God, but you really didn't, because when it comes down to it, you're still going to go back to your old patterns. And that's okay too. The only way through this game, dear lighted ones, is to trust in your guides and God. This is the plan of evolution. How could you not trust it? Because you've never had leaders before that allowed you to believe in who you are until now. Please believe in who you are, dear lighted ones. You're masters here in a human body, and you're here on a very beautiful, very special, very exciting, very pivotal spiritual journey. And you're going to activate your Metatronic light. You're going to activate your Metatronic chakras. You're going to activate your Christ consciousness. And you're going to start harmonizing yourself as the spirit that you are as one. And you're going to reclaim your voice. You're going to reclaim all that you are. And you're going to come up with such beautiful things that are just for you. And the 3 E's and the 3 A's are going to be all that you ever want to live, because you just know yourself so much so. And when you love yourself so much so, and when you know yourself so much so, God will make a way for you, and that soulmate and that twin flame will just be there. You don't ever have to fight for it. You don't ever have to make a statement about it. You don't have to fight over it. You don't have to put in your 10 cents about it. If someone is not going to see you for who you are, without doing the testing, without doing the recalibrations, without hiring investigators, without doing all of the untrusting things, if they're not going to take you for the heart that you are, then they're not meant to be there. We're getting back to trust and love, dear lighted ones. This is a pivotal stage. This is a pivotal place. There should be no testing on anybody. You don't have a right to test on anyone. Whether it's a testing of a love relationship or a testing of MK Ultra, never ever test anybody. You don't have the right. Unless they go in and apply for a job and they actually sign their signature to say, I'm okay to be tested. You don't have a right to test people. These are very egregious things. Nobody offered you into their life to impede their privacy, to impede this, to impede that, to impede this for your sake of your benefit and your analysis. Or to see how strong they are, to see what rituals you're going to do on them next, to see how you can take them out next, to see how you can break them next. Oh, well, we haven't done this on them. Let's go do that. None of you have a right. And why you're going to be pulled back. And you shouldn't be asking anything other than, well, I should have saw this coming. I mean, she said it 8,000 times. Even though I hated her, I showed up to her videos every day, and she did say it 8,000 times. We kind of counted it. It's all there on video. Even though they mess with the upload dates, and even though they mess with the pilfering, even though everybody blatantly sees I'm being stolen from, what higher authority and what police and what FBI and what agency of the governments are saying enough is a fucking enough? You want to prove that your karma, you want to prove that your soul is going to be worthy of this next level of ascension, dear lighted ones. You're going to all be tested. This is your apple dropping from the tree. All of you will be tested. How integrous are you? When you see something that is malice and ill intent and nefarious going on, are you going to bring it up or are you going to let it go by? If the checks and balance is not being checks and balanced, judges and lawyers and bankers and policemen, you are of authority and you've taken oaths. From here on out, you will be called out and you're going to manifest your way out of your position. You don't deserve it. If you know you have taken egregious acts of corruption at least once a week, and you do so and you continue to do so, there's no number on corruption. It's a no tolerance. When is enough enough? The camel's back has been broken. The meek are inheriting the earth. The Father has his hand on it all. There's no light worker that's doing anything here, people, on planet Earth. This is the hand of God. God has said ENOUGH. Enough. Bullies of the playground, enough. Your souls will be moved. You don't get infinite opportunities to act egregiously and take out life for your selfish agendas. Your time is up. You will be moved. And God is just saying, and every one of you that tests us, to the light workers or to those that have been chosen, if you test us in this way, it will be egregious to those that are here with you as well. And then you say you care about your families, and we're saying, do you really? You cannot say you care for your family when you join a sacrificing sex cult, because you know just in the name what you're getting into when you walk in that door. And you bet and you bit and you sell your children and your ex-wife to your underground black web bookies 100 times so you can get a trip to Europe. I'm calling all of you out, and it's your judgment day. You will never touch my soul ever again. I want my monies returned. I want my passports returned. I want my birth records returned. You have the address of my bank. Every day that you delay it will be every day that the karma will be more and more and more and more and more until the rebalance is done. The voice of the heavens have spoken. I am higher spiritual order. From here on out, this is my garden, our garden, and we will speak as one for the one of the all. Every voice will be heard. Every destiny will be achieved. And there will be new laws for dark occult, crimes, satanic crimes, and we will speak from higher order of what God truly is, love truly is, and the law of one. The right use of free will and non-interference and the law of balance are your highest laws. Please use them every day. Connect with your guides and your star seeds and your star soul every day. You're meant to be here, dear lighted ones. Let's have fun on this ride, because we're in a place where no other person could have been. There have been beings on the planet and in the galaxy that got turned down from being here, because we are the ones that are meant to make the most change and the highest impact. Because we're spiritual people to begin with. We were always spiritual people, and we were just fit into boxes and little systems. We didn't belong. That's why we always felt like we never belonged. Well, now we're going to belong, because we're spiritual beings. We're on a spiritual journey, and we have spiritual teams behind us. And we're going to behave in spiritual ways. Negative energy is negative, neutral energy is neutral, and positive energy is positive. It's 100% in your court. And God will meet you every way. Get in the elevator and push the button. Every day God will meet you, but you have to do the work. You have to go within and you have to do the work. That is being godly. And we're going to end it there. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit. That was fun. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Any donations, any sessions, please. My PayPal is Joanna, paypal.me/Joanna L. Ross. Yeah, that's it. PayPal. Yeah, paypal.me/Joanna L. Ross. That's my PayPal for any sessions. Right now, the sessions until the 15th. Sessions until the 15th are 150 US. That's my sessions. It's going to go back up to 250 US on the 16th. So just note those things. We're going to be expanding in all of our mental processes.
We're going to be expanding in all of those areas, psychiatric, psychology, and our schools are going to be taking that on as well. So what they showed me this morning is that we're going to have scribes that are going to be assisting us, so that those of us that are creating these new systems and these new teachings and stuff, we're going to have scribes that'll be with us that will be dictating everything that we're doing so that they can be transposed into crystalline tablets for teaching purposes. And then the universities and schools. So this is a very systematic process of what we used to do back in the old ancient times, right? The teachers and the scribes and the masters used to get, and we used just to come into these big, coliseums and stuff, and then the information would be dictated, it would be put into books, it would be put into journals, and everybody would have their part to play. So that what would happen is that those of us that we're going to have to discuss it as far as the money, and because I'm going to be creating many things for the people, so that people can get much in return of light and love. So it's going to benefit everybody to play a part of just loving each other. But some of the things we're going to be thinking of is that, for instance, if I'm teaching and I'm downloading the material and I'm doing it, there's going to be little contracts drawn up so that those that are scribes and those that are, say, illustrators, you're going to get whatever portion is going to be, even though it's my download, even though it's my information, you're processing of it and you're being a part of it and you're being a part of logging it, you're going to get a cut of it. And so we're going to be making sure that everybody's going to be shared in all of it, and it's going to be a collective ownership. And so that's what we're doing. So there's a lot of things we have to work out because, again, we're going into 5D, and sometimes the legal things are a bit different there. But that's what we're going to be doing because everything that I will be doing will be nonprofit. So it's going to go into a nonprofit for the collective, for all of the different things that I'm going to be heading up and being a part of. Philanthropy, ambassadorialship, and then I'll have enough that there'll be another business that I'm doing just for me, and that will come back to feed me and my business. And so I'm going to be empowering all of you to align with your 5D businesses in this way that you have every right to, right? So my donations and my sessions are paypal.me/Joanna L. Ross. Just keep on, we wanted to say one last, thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Commander Ashtar. One last reminder, because there's lots of shifting out and shifts, they just wanted to say, just with your daily prayers a couple times a day, just connect with God, connect with Mother, Father, and just say, I'm aligning with my highest vibrational timeline, that for my highest vibrational gifts, skills, and talents, I'm on the path of light. I'm intending my alliance with light. I'm intending my alliance with Source Creator. All of those positive affirmations just move your soul bit by bit by bit to the highest momentum, right? And you're not going to be in the pull of matrix energies. So just make sure you're doing your affirmations every day from the center of your heart, right? Because this is where you manifest from. So you just want to be in this space. So just your affirmations over the next little while, because there's a lot of things moving and about. So just thank God every day. Thank God that God's doing a lot of the heavy lifting. God's doing a lot of all the warfare that's going on behind the scenes. There's still people that are in their spiritual warfare, warrior mode. And there's no need to be, because the spiritual warfare is over. It's done. The court's already been called. Cases have been called. Charges have been called. Everything's been done. There's no more spiritual warfare. So this is why God is now taking over. God's got the hands on everybody. So just let God do it. Just surrender it to God and just keep affirming every day to the highest timeline. And then you'll be fine. And then every day I'm going to come on with the new liturgies of light, assemblies of light, and just keep you all motivated. So we love you very much. Thank you, dear lighted ones. Any donations would be really lovely. And I love you. Bye, everybody. I love you. Let me close this.